This could be the most important car BMW has ever launched. Say hello to the iX3 mid-size electric SUV. This is the first in a new wave of BMW models called the Neue Klasse. It harks back to the 1960s when the company had a similar reinvention of the brand and a whole new era of cars for the company. Fully electric, built on a dedicated EV platform, designed from the ground up to be an electric car, up to 800 k's of claimed driving range, super fast charging, entirely new digital interface inside, and a lot to unpack here. So in this video, I'm going to take you through the interior of the car, show you all the new tech on offer as well as the space you get, talk about what you get in terms of features and so on, and of course hit the road to find out what it's like to drive. Let's get started. Full Aussie details for the iX3 are yet to be confirmed, but we can glean a few things both from the European spec as well as where it sits in the BMW range. The old iX3 was priced from $91,000 to about $105,000 before on-road costs. Given the smaller iX1 is priced from about $87,000 before on-roads, and the larger iX is at about $140,000 before on-roads, it's fair to assume this new iX3 in its launch 50X drive spec will be at around $120,000 before on-road costs. That is a fair way above the fringe benefits tax exemption for electric cars on a novated lease, but there's a lot more technology in this car which helps justify some of that price rise. Now, along with that new platform, there is an entirely new design language for the BMW brand, and this new face is something you'll be seeing on a lot of new BMWs over the next 5 years or so. New design of the headlights as well as the old school kidney grills, a lot smaller, which is a welcome change if you've not been a fan of the way BMWs look over the last 5 years or so. Illumination as well as this new style of headlights, sort of 4 lines rather than the usual angel eyes that BMW is used to doing. It's a cleaner look, I suppose, than earlier models, especially compared to something like an XM in BMW's range. This is a really elegant design and it works much better in person than you might think in the photos. But what do you think? Let us know down below. And if you want a BMW that isn't this one, there are plenty of others for sale on Drive Marketplace, new and used at dealers across the country. Equipment details are yet to be confirmed, but features in Europe include a 17.9-inch touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, a 43.3-inch projection across the base of the windscreen, more on that a little bit later, wireless phone charging, power adjustable heated front seats, dual zone climate control, a glass roof, as well as a power tailgate. We hope to have more to say on standard spec early in the new year, ahead of the iX3's showroom arrival in mid-2026. Inside the iX3, this is where the real revolution has come for BMW cabins. You can see in front of me here is what's called the panoramic vision display. Now it looks like a screen, even if you get quite close, it looks quite high resolution. It's actually a projection onto a space there below the windscreen. It shows everything from your speeding, your state of charge gauge, ahead of me here where I'm driving, to things like your maps, your trip computer, as well as dynamic functions like the power gauge and stuff like that when you're driving this car in a more sporty manner. And there is plenty of customization there in that as well. Closer to me here is the main infotainment touchscreen. It's an odd size and it does look a little bit weird in photos. But when you're sitting behind the wheel, this screen sort of blends with the steering wheel and it does actually work quite neatly. Now, being a BMW touchscreen, there is a lot to play with here in terms of menus and things to control. And I've got to say, it is a bit daunting to get your head around a lot of these functions, but after a while you do get used to it. And you've got a helpful sort of car menu here, a lot of your main functions in one place. If I go down to displays here, I can then customize what is up there ahead of me. I can go select content and I can change it from all sorts of things like your date, your time, your altitude, steering wheel angle, your charging gauges, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of things to play with here and set this car up exactly how you want it. Elsewhere in this cabin, new steering wheel. It's a bit of an odd design. This one is the normal wheel with sort of 12 o'clock spoke at the top and the bottom. I'm not a big fan. You can get a more normal wheel with sort of a 2 or 3 spoke M branded design there as well. Elsewhere in this cabin, got sort of quite slim air vents, quite a modern contemporary design here. This one has the normal standard seats, which are quite comfortable, quite supportive as well. Firmly bolstered, as European cars tend to be, but still quite good on longer drives, with power adjustment here as well on the doors. Very similar to like a Mercedes, I suppose, there. In terms of storage, it's okay, but not exceptional. I've got a little bit of room here in the center armrest, but not a whole lot. There is some more space underneath the center console here that you can sort of fit, I suppose, a small handbag or a purse or something down there. Good for like notebooks and phones and wallets and stuff like that. 2 cup holders. Your glove box is okay size there. And the materials are also quite good. Softish on this armrest, soft on the doors. I'm not a huge fan of this lower material here. It doesn't feel quite as nice as I'd like, but you can get a sort of like a micro suede option in M Sport cars there as well. And build quality is also quite good. All feels quite solid, well screwed together. No squeaks or rattles in the 2 cars that we've driven, at least on this launch drive. And amenities wise, it's also well covered. Wireless phone charger, Got another head-up display in front of me, above that panoramic vision display there, Harman Kardon stereo, and things like that. The final spec for Australia is still to be confirmed, but there is still plenty to like here, and it is quite competitive for a car in this class. And this new interface, I wasn't sure at first when I first saw the photos, but playing with it in person, and once you set it up to be how you like it, there is a lot to like. Space in the back of the iX3 is very generous. I'm 186 centimeters tall, or 6'1", and I have loads of room here to the front seat. Good headroom as well under this glass roof, and also a fair amount of toe room there as well. Got a flat floor, which is great for stretching out, and it is quite a wide cabin, but this seat base isn't the most contoured, at least we felt, in this class. In terms of amenities, also well positioned there as well. You've got air vents down here, as well as a separate zone of climate control, or at least some climate controls you can access back here. 2 USB-C ports, fold down center armrests here as well, and okay space in the door pockets, but you don't have any sort of map pockets here on the back of the front seats. Boot space is also very generous for a car of this size. It's a very deep load space. That's the first thing you notice here in the back. Also quite wide, not a whole lot of nooks and things you do have to work around in the back here. Some underfloor storage there as well. Fit your charging cables in there or in the front if you prefer, along with the tyre repair kit. There's no spare wheel in the back of this car. Got some bag hooks and things, a net on the side, as well as a light. But it's otherwise not the most featuresome boot, but still enough to go with for a car of this size. Tailgate opens quite high, and it is obviously electrically operated, and quite a quick electrically operated tailgate at that. Powering the iX3 50 xDrive are 2 electric motors, one front and one rear, developing 345 kilowatts and 645 newton meters. BMW claims a 0 to 100 km/h acceleration time of 4.9 seconds. That's about on par with what you get from a petrol-powered X3 M50 6-cylinder SUV. But it's range where the iX3 really draws its strongest card. The battery pack, a 108 kWh nickel manganese cobalt unit, is good for 805 kilometers of claimed driving range in European WLTP testing. That's enough to make the iX3, at least as we're sitting here today, the longest range electric car currently confirmed for Australian showrooms, beating the Tesla Model 3 long-range rear-wheel drive at 750 kilometers. DC fast charging is also a highlight for a claimed 10 to 80% charge in 21 minutes at up to 400 kilowatts. That's as much power as the fastest chargers in Australia can accept. AC charging at up to 11 kilowatts is offered, as well as vehicle-to-load technology that lets you power external electrical devices from the car's battery pack. All right, behind the wheel of the new iX3. Now, this is obviously a very first taste here on the roads in Europe, so not necessarily representative of what we get at home, but still a good first look at what you can expect when this car arrives in local showrooms next year. Now, this being the dual motor 50 xDrive version, there is definitely no shortage of performance in this car. More than 300 kilowatts. Put your foot down. Certainly does give you a really good shove into the back of the seat. And it does have pretty good legs as well. When you're sort of up to highway speeds and trying to overtake, it doesn't feel like it's running out of grunt at any point, which is great for a car that's this big and this heavy as well, obviously as most electric cars are. The ride, being a BMW, it is on the firmer side of the spectrum. There is a focus here on trying to make it a bit more of a sporty car to drive. So it does have a sort of a more taut feel to the way it deals with bumps, but I don't think it's too jiggly or too firm to live with, at least on this preview drive here in Europe. Again, the caveat being that the roads here are generally a lot smoother than what we get at home in Australia. And of course, the trade-off of that is sportier handling. Really nice steering. It's quite easy to use on center. It's not too darty. Then as you start winding on more lock in a corner, for example, it does feel super quick and super immediate there as well. Brake pedal has a nice firmness to it, which is great. Really good tires on this car, good set of Goodyear tires, so it has really good grip in corners. And there's not too much body roll as well. Super settled, super composed. It's a really predictable car to drive, which is great. On a nice country road, if you're a keen driver, you can kind of feel the car pushing itself around corners rather than sort of pulling you from the front end of the car, as say an Audi Q6 in the segment might. But it is generally a very dynamic car to drive in a nice country environment. Like you can see, we are in the background here. There's a good blend between the regen braking of the electric motors as well as the friction brakes, the actual brake discs behind the wheels. Got a choice of 3 different levels of regen braking. That's how quickly the car pulls up when you lift off the accelerator pedal, as well as a full B mode via the shifter down here that will bring the car to a full stop without me needing to touch the brake pedal. It's a reasonably quiet car too. There's a bit of road noise you can probably hear in the background on this okay country road surface here. And there is some wind noise at freeway speeds, but it's not too daunting or perhaps too much to live with when you get this car in a normal day-to-day environment. As with most European cars, the safety features are well tuned as well. You do have things like a speed limit warning that will bong when you go over the speed limit, but it's super easy to turn off. I've got a shortcut here. It is out of sight from where I'm sitting, but I can sort of crane my head and see it quite easily there beside the steering wheel. And things like your lane keeping assistant, your lane centering are all pretty well calibrated. Don't feel like they're sort of getting in the way or being too pushy or being too intrusive, which is great to see. In terms of energy use, we've been seeing in the region of about 16, 17, up to 20 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, generally sitting around the 18 mark, which is actually really good for a car of this size. And we haven't been trying to hypermile it, been driving it in the country, using the performance of the car, and yeah, it's actually surprisingly efficient for a car this big and this heavy. It's not too far off the efficiency of, say, Tesla Model Y, which is obviously a cheaper car, but it's the benchmark for efficiency as far as electric SUVs go. Something like an Audi Q6 e-tron will be using well into the 20 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometer range, even when driving it pretty sedately. Overall, pretty impressed with the way this iX3 drives, at least on this first taste here. It's got decent compliance with the suspension, but it steers well, plenty of performance, quite dynamic to drive, and yet all the EV features like the regen braking and the efficiency do work really well. Excited to get this car on local roads next year and see if these first impressions translate to Aussie conditions. So there you have it, our first drive of the BMW iX3. This is a really impressive mid-size electric SUV. Loads of space, loads of tech. It feels new, it feels cutting edge. The specs on paper are really promising as well. 800 Ks of claim range. We've been seeing up to 900 Ks on the dash of this one driving it, which is seriously impressive for a car in this price. And of course, that will be the big question when this car gets to Australia. How much will it cost? We think about $120,000. That is obviously a fair amount of money for a car like this, but not too far from where the price of a petrol-powered X3 is in this class. What do you think of this car? Let us know down below. Of course, to read the full written review, head to Drive.com.au.